In this video, we're going to do an example taken from calculus. It is used to derive the formula for the derivative of the cosine function. So we're going to verify that the sine of x plus h minus the sine of x all divided by h equals the cosine of x times the sine of h over h minus the sine of x times 1 minus cosine h over h, where h cannot equal 0. So we're going to use the sum formula for sine here. Let's recall what that is. So here we can see that our u in this instance is going to be x, and that our v in this instance is going to be the h. Now our goal right now is to make this left-hand side turn into the right-hand side. So what we're going to go ahead and do is take that sum formula of sine, and we're going to plug in our x and our h, which is going to give us the following. The sine of x times the cosine of h plus the cosine of x times the sine of h minus the sine of x, all divided by h. So looking at our problem, I see that we have a sine of x in our sine of x times the cosine of h, and there's also a sine of x over here. And so I think I could factor out a sine of x. And so I'm going to use the commutative property to rewrite that so we can see it a little bit easier. So now we have the cosine of x times the sine of h minus the sine of x plus the sine of x times the cosine of h. And again, I still have that sine of x in both of those terms. So I'm going to factor out the sine of x, which gives us the cosine of x times the sine of h minus, here's our sine of x being factored out, 1 plus the cosine of h all divided by h. So now we're going to want to take our expression and write it in as two terms. So what that means is that we're going to take the cosine of x times the sine of h, and we're going to divide it by h, and then we're going to subtract the sine of x times 1 plus the cosine of h, and divide all of that by h. And so now, as we look back up to what we're trying to turn our expression into, we see that we're very close. And with some simple rewriting, we can simplify down to what we need. So we have the cosine of x over 1 times the sine of h over h minus the sine of x over 1 times 1 plus the cosine of h over h. And we don't really need to write cosine of x over 1 and sine of x over 1, so we can simplify that even farther, which gives us the cosine of x times the sine of h over h minus the sine of x times 1 plus cosine h over h, which is exactly what we wanted to get to. And so we can see that we've now verified that, and we're finished.